So here we have the Canon 100-400 Mark II lens. This is the, I've just put it on the bare lens, no tele extender on there. So let's just have it at 400mm. I thought I'd just give you a visual test of the autofocus on the 100-400 Mark II lens without any extenders on there. So we can see how quickly it autofocuses. So let's just start the test, putting it out of focus. Now that's its minimum focus at 0.98 centimeters. Let's just see how it performs. Fairly quick, but it's not super quick. Let's do that again so you can see we're at 400mm, but remember, as I've said, it's not a true 400mm lens. Let's try again. There you go. You've got to remember it's moving all the way from 98 centimeters in terms of its closest focus capability to its farthest. So I'd say we're probably about between 8 and 10 meters away from that waterfall box. So let's just put it out to infinity this time. Obviously, as you can see already, it's pretty far out anyway. So it should autofocus really quick now because it's already there. You see, this is the point that I've made in the other videos with the 100-400 Mark II lens. Because it has to move such a large distance from its minimum to its maximum, you'll find that it does autofocus a lot slower than other lenses because it doesn't have a big limiter. The limiter it's got on there is just 3 meters to infinity versus the primes, even the Sigma prime I just showed you. That is capable of going from 10 meters to infinity, which means the lens elements are already out there, but even so it's a lot quicker in its full mode. But it starts out at the minimum focus is 4.5 meters, a long way out. This is 98 centimeters, so just under a meter. So it's like 4 times the distance that the Sigma prime lens can do at its closest focus capability. So let's just try that again at infinity as I've just shown you, and let's try again. It's very quick, isn't it? Okay, we've got the 1.4 extender on the 100-400 Mark II lens. I want to show you the autofocus capability. This is actually set to f11, I believe. Yep. So we're just going to see how quickly the autofocus handles on the EOS R mirrorless camera. This is full frame, remember, so if you've got a crop sensor camera it may autofocus a little bit slower than this, mainly because the full frame offers more light to the autofocus system. So what we need to do is we need to just test out the autofocus. So let's put it to infinity to start off with. So obviously this should be around 560mm. So let's just test that out. It seems pretty quick with the 1.4. Let's put it back to infinity again. Infinity focus. But it's always going to be quicker at infinity because it's some distance away. There you go. It's fairly quick. So let's go to minimum focus because this is where the 100-400 Mark II lens can struggle a little bit going near to far. But again, it's always some distance away, so you've got to take that into account. There you go. It's obviously a little bit slower, as I've mentioned in previous videos. So let's go to minimum focus again, which is 98 centimeters. Try again. And there you go. So as you can see, it's not super quick. There is a limiter on there. We can try and see how that works on the Canon Mark II lens, which is 3 meters to infinity. So it's not quite 4.5 like on the prime lens, but let's have a look and see how it actually performs. So again, we put the limiter on, which is 3 meters to infinity, I know it's not a fantastic limiter like the other primes you can get, but saying that, we'll see if it quickens things up. So let's go to minimum focus and let's see how it performs. It's about the same, I would say. Let's go to infinity, see if that quickens it up any more. And there you go. So I think we're going to test the 2x now and see how quick the autofocus is on that lens, and keeping the aperture the same, because f11 gives you a good demonstration of how the 2x will compare, because that's the minimum you'll be able to get it to, f11. So without further ado, let's test out the 2x. Okay, here is the 2x Mark III on the lens. We're going to have a look at autofocus speed. Now again, this drops your aperture right down from 5.6 all the way to f11. So this is pretty much comparable to the other lenses you can get out there in the RF mount in terms of 800mm. So we're at 800mm in theory, but unfortunately we're not quite at that particular focal length, because the 100 to 400 Mark II L lens isn't quite 400mm. Other people have stated it's around 370mm. I'd probably air it to say around 350mm if I'm honest, but obviously make your own mind up on what focal length you actually think the lens really resolves. But let's have a look at the autofocus capability of this. So we're going to go to minimum autofocus, which is 0.98. Now I did put the limiter on there, so let's put it back to full, because I want to get an idea of how quickly it autofocuses. So let's just have a go and try it from minimum to where we need to focus. So obviously it's not super quick, but at least it works. You won't get this to work on cameras such as 90D, 80D, 70D. A lot of older cameras will allow you to autofocus at f11. It's only the mirrorless cameras that allow you to do that. So let's have another go at that. Let's just see what it is, like minimum to maximum. Let's have another go. It's quite slow, but at least it works. At least you can use it. I would say indoors, in darker environments, you would be really frustrated with it not working properly. But outside, it does work. You know, at a pinch, if you've got nothing else and you don't own a massive lens, stick the extender on, and hopefully it'll get you what you want to do. As I've said previously, the 2x extenders are not brilliant quality, but I do think the Mark III is significantly better than the older ones. The older ones just look really grainy, but the new one looks quite sharp. Obviously it's not going to be as sharp as a lens without an extender on, but I think it's damn close. My personal opinion with the 2x extender is it's not quite as sharp as the 150 to 600 at 600mm, but it's really close, really close. And that's a testament to this lens really, because the lens itself, the 100 to 400 Mark II L lens, is a razor sharp lens in my opinion. So obviously we've had a look at that, so let's just try it again at minimum focus. Let's see how quick it is. There you go. Still quite slow, I won't say it's super fast. Now let's try it at infinity focus at some distance. I gather it will be a lot quicker, and it might be more than acceptable. Make your mind up regarding that. It's not fast, but it gets you there. It's reasonably okay. I won't say it's super fast, but at least it works. And the thing is, with the 2x on there, we're getting 4 stops of image stabilization on a lens which is probably around the 750mm. So I'm moving the camera and, you know, touching the barrel as well, but it's still able to keep the IS working, and it looks smooth even with me touching the camera, moving it about, touching the tripod a little bit. I am actually moving the tripod micro movements quite a bit, and you can see the IS working really well. Now what I want to do is turn the IS off so you can see the difference. So let's just go to the controls and turn it onto manual focus, and turn the IS off, obviously. Turn the IS off, stabilizer off, because I want to give you an idea of how much it moves. You see, this is at around 750 to 800 millimeters, and I am touching it very slightly like I was before, and look at that move so much. And that's me just holding onto the stick that holds the camera onto the tripod, and you can see it moving a lot. Now if we turn it back on, the IS, and I hold the arm for the tripod again. Look how steady that is. So we can certainly see that on this lens image stabilization is fantastic. While I might not be super impressed with autofocus speed, I think the image stabilization comes into its own on this lens. So I hope this video was helpful. So ladies and gentlemen, here we have the 2x Mark III extender on the 100 to 400 Mark II L lens, and as you can see we're zoomed in a lot more. Now in theory this should be around 800 millimeters. However, as I've just mentioned, I believe the lens, the 100 to 400 Mark II L lens, is probably closer to 350 millimeters. So we're probably going to talking around between 700 and 750 millimeters is what I believe this lens resolves with the 2x. If I'm honest with you, I think the 2x Mark III extender is actually very good. If you're looking at this as I am, it looks really nice in quality, and this gives you f11. Now for those of you who are thinking about getting the RF 800mm and 600mm f11 lenses, you might want to consider this as an alternative. You can pick up the 100 to 400 Mark II L lens as a grey import for probably around £1,500, or buy it natively in your country for around £2,200 is what I think Amazon is selling it for. Now those RF lenses are at f11. Now if we put a 2x extender on this particular setup, we are at f11. So we're getting the same capability as the f11 RF 800mm and the 600mm lenses, but obviously it's in a better package. It's a zoom, and obviously the mirrorless camera can handle f11, and believe it or not, we are getting autofocus. So if I try and say obscure your vision a bit, and there you go, autofocus is working. Let's just see how quickly we're doing it. It's very slow. I won't say it's super fast. It's possible the primes of those RF lenses are quicker, but we do have to give it a bit of a help, I think, just to get it to focus. It's focusing, but it's very slow. Here we go. So if you're thinking I would like an alternative to those RF lenses, you can get the RF adapter on your EOS R camera, or the R5 or the R6, and use the 100 to 400 Mark II L lens. Yes, you can get the RF 100 to 500. Obviously it's pretty much going on sale around £2,600 to £3,000 depending on where you buy it. I know it's advertised on eBay for around the £3,000 mark. So obviously if you buy grey import, which this is a grey import, I bought it some years ago, It's about half the price of the lenses, and you can get the extender probably for around £300. The Mark III, that is. You can buy the cheaper earlier versions if you want to, such as the Mark II and the Mark I. My opinion of the 2x extenders, the Mark I's and the Mark II's, are they're pretty much terrible. The Mark III is certainly a lot better. In terms of the 1.4 extender, I've got the Mark III, that's really good. But I have owned the Mark I and the Mark II 1.4 extenders, and I find them to be really good. It's only when you go to 2 times that the quality isn't that great, until they brought out the Mark III 2x extender, which I think is really great. So that's my roundup of showing you the telephoto-ness of this lens. But just as an extra test, because obviously we're checking the image stabilization on here. So we've got the 2x on there. Let's turn the autofocus off, so just in case it decides to move that. I want to check image stabilization on a tripod with this setup, which in theory should give us 800mm, but in reality I think it's closer to 750 if I'm honest with you, because you can certainly see it hasn't zoomed it in tremendously compared to the 500 prime. So let's have a look and test the lens out by touching it, and let's see. I've got my hand on the camera, and I've also got my hand on the barrel where the zoom is. So I'm looking for the viewfinder. I've got my head against the viewfinder, and as you can see there's still some movement, but the IS is doing a really good job. Now it's rated at 2 stops and it's keeping the image quite steady. Just imagine if we had a bird there and we're trying to record it, you know, there isn't that much movement in the actual imagery. So obviously that's me touching the camera and holding the barrel. I'll just put my hand on the tripod base, see what happens when I move it a little bit. Now as you saw there was a little bit of lag for the IS there, but as soon as it realised there was a bit of movement with the tripod, the IS is kicking in and keeping it really steady. So again, if I just take my hand off, and then the IS will think there's nothing going on, and then I touch the tripod again, there you go. See there, it's locked on. It realises there's a bit of camera shake and the IS is starting up to work again. So as I've been saying before, the image stabilization of the Canon lenses are absolutely fantastic, especially the modern day ones with the rated 4 stops. In terms of lenses to carry around, the 100-400 Mark IIL lens is fantastic. If you want to buy it from, say, Amazon, it's going to cost you £2,200. Now, I have noticed that price has jumped up £400 in the last couple of years. It was around £1,800 on Amazon some years ago. So they've actually upped the price in this pandemic, which I think is really unfair on Canon to do so. But there you go. I hope this video was entertaining regarding showing you the different lenses that I have got and using the extenders. If you're wondering why I've not tried to put an extender on the 500 prime Sigma f4.5 DG HSM lens, I know it's a bit of a mouthful, the extenders don't work. There are a few off-brand parties, such as I believe the Teleplus one will work, and some other ones. They don't work well with that particular Sigma lens, unfortunately. So unfortunately, using extenders on the Sigma Prime 500 f4.5 lens is a no-go. You can't use them, to be honest with you. The best thing to do is get a crop sensor camera and attach that to it. That in effect is like an extender on your camera. That's something I wanted to illustrate and just point out that you can use extenders. However, you need to be mindful of what they do to your lens when you're trying to autofocus. Anyway, I hope you found this video informative regarding using extreme telephoto lenses. So you've got an option really. You've got an option to get a large prime, like a 500 prime. Or you can get a slightly smaller focal length, like a 100 to 400, a 300 2.8, a 400 2.8 or a 400 f4, and then put an extender on. You see, the modern day mirrorless cameras can cope with low apertures such as f8, f11 and still autofocus. They don't autofocus really quickly, just remember that. You see, you need a lens that has a large aperture like 2.8, f4 to get snappy autofocus. However, it's not to say you can't manage with an f5.6, f8, f11 lens. You just autofocus isn't going to be as quick as those big primes. And that's why you pay lots of money for the big primes. It isn't really for the telephoto focal length, while it certainly is what you want in terms of doing the wildlife photography. However, what you're really wanting is large apertures that can capture lots of light, which helps your autofocus and makes it quick. So I just wanted to do a bit of a video to talk you through telephoto lenses and the benefits and the disadvantages obviously of using them. So again, like always, hope this video was helpful and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.